How do you get internet to your remote building or your shed? In our case, we really just try to keep it simple, and we developed a product called a ShedLink Ultra 2 at the moment. Why I say it's an Ultra and it's 2, we obviously had a bit of an evolution from previous generations to where we are today. Now, I have had a video on this product about a year or so ago as well. It's been a while since I made a video, so it's kind of good to be back as well. And we now want to demonstrate the actual workings of this system on a setup that is similar to what the classic user would use. So the first question is, what is the ShedLink Ultra, or who is the ShedLink Ultra suitable for? It's for a shed, so in other words, you have a classic property, maybe a slightly larger property, and you have a shed on the outside, even a small farmstead or something, where you want an internet connection to the remote shed that doesn't have an easy way to get internet or cabling through. You just get internet there using a product like the ShedLink. Or a granny flat, maybe on your property, a small office that's remote from the other locations. Or quite an interesting one that we get a lot of is solar systems often need Wi-Fi to be connected to the system, the Wi-Fi basically to the internet. In this case, if you have a ShedLink set up close to the solar system, it allows the solar system to connect to the ShedLink. The ShedLink has a connection to the main property, so that whole loop closes the loop. There we go, what a nice way to say it. To basically get you internet connection on the solar system. So that's the first thing. Those are a few classic examples. The limitation of the ShedLink is that we don't recommend anything more than 100 meters because it's a simple solution, acts as basically another Wi-Fi receiver that you place away from the property, but it actually takes the Wi-Fi connection from the main property and it just regenerates a new Wi-Fi signal for you to use with all sorts of devices connected to it. The internet speed is going to be half. It's just the way it is. Basically, you have a system here that communicates with the main property. The main property sends a message, this device says, okay, I got it, I send it on. The device on this end says, okay, I'm communicating back, and then it communicates back to that. So if you can think of it not in digital terms, not in technology terms, but anything that I send you a message, you have to relay the message. Message gets converted and back and forth. There's always this back and forth, which is basically what a bridging system does. It halves the communication. That's the rule of thumb. I mean, it could be anything in between, but if you get 100 megabits per second internet connection coming into your property, you probably don't expect to see anything more than 50 megabits coming out at the end of the ShedLink. It's not because of a weakness on the product. It's because that's the way things go. If you have to talk and repeat and then listen again and communicate back, that's the logic that it is. There's a two-hop system or one-hop system with two communication channels back and forth. That's not engineering, it is just the way those kind of situations would work. So bear that in mind. The speed that you get in your property is likely to be at least half, if not a little bit slower, on the remote place. The other reason why it could be slower is because you are using this device in a location where you otherwise probably wouldn't have any Wi-Fi. So you are recovering what didn't exist, so you can't expect miracles. The third thing is, because it's a range-based system, we are focusing on the 2.4 gigahertz feature and not the dual band 5.8 gigahertz feature, because the higher frequencies that exist in technology don't travel as far. The 2.4 does, so we only in this case going to zoom in, and with the solution at the ShedLink, we only have the 2.4 gig kind of enabled because of the antenna designer we added to the solution. It's only a 2.4 gigahertz antenna because we thought do what we do really well so we can get the range, because that's the key feature of what the ShedLink is trying to solve, the problem that it's trying to solve. Now, how do you know if the ShedLink is going to work for you on your property? That's a kind of a really good question. So the key thing there is we say a limit of 100 meters. The reason for 100 meters is that's a number that we found where the system is still quite reliably connected to a remote Wi-Fi network. But provided that it's not major obstructions in between. So if there's a forest in between, or a shed or two, or other buildings in between you and the shed that you want to connect to, of course the 100 meters is going to be much less. We assume in that number that it's clean or relatively clear line of sight between you and the shed. So that's again where a typical household setup is going to work quite well. Now the way to really get a handle on is the shed link going to be an option for you or not is as simple as just going too close to the shed on the outside of the shed, and do you still have a connection, or at least if you could see the home network. You don't have to have a good connection, you don't have to have anything major, but at least with a phone or some device you could see, well, yes, the network does come to somewhat here, but maybe not reliable enough, because there's two things with the shed link that is really important to understand in this case. First of all, as I mentioned during this video, the antenna that we have, the white box, is a 9 dBi directional antenna. So the antenna that you have in your phone or your laptop or whatever you're testing with is typically quite a low performing, low efficiency antenna. So let's assume it's a 0 dBi antenna. So it's not a lot of gain, it's just there to operate in the frequency so it can do what it needs to do when it's close to the actual system, and you kind of have a connection between them, the router and your phone. However, it is not necessarily designed to outperform other things. That's what the difference is with the shed link. We have a dedicated higher gain antenna, 9 dBi gain antenna, that points in the direction that you want to go. So it's 9 dBi, which is a logarithmic scale. It is significantly stronger and more powerful than what you have. So if you were to say, I can see the presence of the network, it's a weak signal, it's maybe 1 bar if you want to talk that language, but it's here. That's good enough. We know that the shed link will be able to also see the network, but because of the better antenna, it will see a better version of that same network. So that's going to work well. The other thing to keep in mind is a shed or any building is going to cause blockages and prevent the signal from going into the inside of the building. A shed is the worst case because that's a complete metal box, so what we call a Faraday cage. You actually will have very little radio waves coming through the metal because metal is a perfect obstruction. And the shed link has an outdoor and an indoor unit, so the outdoor unit will pick up what's on the outside, and that 3-meter cable will then connect or link to the inside unit and create the Wi-Fi on the inside. So those are the two ways that the shed link helps what your phone otherwise, or your laptop or your TV or whatever you're using in the shed will overcome, is because it bridges that metal box blockage, and it also is a better antenna on the outside, so it actually has a stronger connection to your home Wi-Fi network. The question is now, what's in the box? So let me show you what's in the box, and there is a video now running as well, but I'll just quickly talk you through them. Of course, first of all, you have to look at just the paperwork that's in the box. Currently, it is August, September 2024. We're working on a new piece of paper, but you will see it is still the original Alpha Wi-Fi Cam Pro 3 Mini paperwork. I'm just going to pause here because there's some racket behind me in the animal world. Right. Sorry about that. The reality of life. I'm shooting a video at home. So, where was I? Yes, the paperwork. Wi-Fi Cam Pro 3. The electronics that we're using in the Cam Pro, the electronics we are using in the Shed Link Ultra 2 is based on the Alpha Wi-Fi Cam Pro 3. And we're using the Mini. What we add is basically we repackage the electronics from the outside unit into a directional antenna, which is the white unit that you also see in the box. So the box itself is a waterproof, UV stable antenna system with a 2.4 gigahertz, 8 to 9 dBi directional gain antenna designed by RF Shop, together with the electronics and a 3-meter USB cable coming out of this. Also, as part of the package is the pole mountable bracket that's connected at the back of the pole, and also if you look closely, there's 2 lids at the top and the bottom of the system. If you peek through the hole, you'll see there are 4 mounting holes available. That is in the case that your wall is actually perfectly aligned or close to perfectly aligned in the direction you want to face. You can make this a fascia mounted or a wall mounted structure as well. Otherwise, if you have a pole like I have here for my demonstration, you can mount it to the actual pole, either vertical or horizontal. Keeping in mind, we recommend the antenna being vertical, but if the pole is a horizontal pole, you can still mount it that way with a cable tie or something else that just mounts it to the pole just like that. So it's fairly straightforward, fairly simple. The actual 3-meter cable that is coming out of the grommet and is a fixed permanent solution is limited to 3 meters, because in the digital terms, if you go for a longer cable, you're going to get all sorts of trouble. We've had that problem, so we know from experience it's a 3-meter cable. Don't go any longer, because then the communication link between the outdoor unit, which is this one, and the indoor unit can be dodgy, and you probably will have no connection, or you have intermittent connection issues, and it creates a world of pain. So don't do it. The next thing is, this is the outdoor unit and a USB cable, so I'm just going to put that aside. The indoor unit is the Alpha, I'm just going to it out there, extender router. It's based on one of the more commonly known Alpha units, but for now this is connected to the CamPro, or in this case the ShedLink. This is your indoor router with an antenna. So that's the device that you will physically connect your computer, your laptop, your TV, whatever to this unit itself, and that's basically your new internet source for you to use. Of course, there's also a power supply. Keep in mind that wherever your shed is, or your granny flat, or the outdoor office, you will need power. It is a 12-volt supply, so if you had 12-volt battery power of some sort, this is quite workable, but in this case it's an AC supply, AC-DC, and it comes out with a DC 12-volt socket that plugs into this device, and that is the only power that is needed for this whole system. So the system in itself is simple. Power supply connects the indoor unit, powers up the indoor unit, has a USB cable, connects to the unit on the outside. That's the basic working, that's the basic setup. So let me go into the next step, and that is to show you the system. First of all, install it and then have it up and running, and we'll do a quick setup, and I'll show you how simple it is to get this running and you have an internet connection in a remote area. First step is taking the outdoor unit and wire it up with the RF logo to a pole. So let's go to that, connect it there. I don't have cable ties on me, just going to use what I have. I'm facing it to my house, as you will see on the video. There we go. The next thing is adding power and the external antenna to your indoor router. So I have an antenna connected to the antenna port, USB cable into the indoor router, and power it up. That's it. Blue light's going, setup is up and running. So unit, USB cable connected to my outdoor unit. Outdoor unit is facing the property, and this is powered with the USB cable, and that's it. At this point, everything is powered up. So we would say about a minute or so before you start to think, how can I connect to all of this, and how can I set this up? As you can see, I'm going to rely 100% on Wi-Fi, so I have no Ethernet cable connected. It is possible, in the box there is a Wi-Fi cable available as well. Now there are two different ways you can connect through Wi-Fi to the actual router. One is, of course, a classic phone or tablet, and through a laptop. I'm going to, in this video, use my laptop for the connection, but it is important to think or remember that when you use a phone, it is going to work quite well. And let me just show you what the problem is going to be. So this is just my phone. I'm just going to quickly start recording. On my phone, it is connected, but my phone is also connected to the Optus network. This is an Optus phone. So my phone is currently a mobile phone, and it has Wi-Fi. It is using my Wi-Fi for my home. Okay, so I just stopped there, so that's no good. So what you want to do is first have a look, and you'll see, okay, I go to my Wi-Fi connections I look at Wi-Fi, I see my own network, that's Cascorp Aussie 5G, but I can also see Cam Pro B4D 63B, whatever, but it is Cam Pro. Because as I mentioned earlier in the video, the product itself is a Cam Pro on the electronics. We converted it to ShareLink by having our own antenna design that is more directional. You will connect to the Cam Pro. Now there is a password. The password is written on the front of the unit itself. So there is a sticker there. Ignore the QR code. The QR code gives you all sorts of trouble. So we recommend using a direct approach by using the IP address, which I will read out later. But just for the Wi-Fi connection at the moment, there is a Wi-Fi Cam Pro and there is a passcode. So I just use that passcode to connect to it. So E59 to, and this is only relevant for this model that's in front of me. It's not relevant for any other models. So I type the password in that's on it and I say join. Now this is only half of the connection. Now when you have a laptop, like I'm going to do later, this is where you can stop, because the only internet connection that the laptop will have is it's now connected to Wi-Fi, to the ShareLink, and anything I do on my laptop will only try to communicate with the ShareLink and nothing else. That's not the case on my phone though. If I were to now say to my phone, okay, let's go to the internet and type in the IP address that you expect to see, 192.168.36.1, okay, it's not going to work. Why is that? It is actually working. Okay, that's a surprise. It's not supposed to work, so I think it's clever enough. But the reason why I was saying it's not going to work sometimes is because the phone is sending that IP address to the internet through my mobile phone network, and that basically means that that IP address is somewhere else in the internet. I want that IP address for this device here. Now obviously with my iPhone 13, let's do a plug there, it seems like that's going to work, so I'm just going to ignore that. What I will recommend you do otherwise is to go into flight mode like that, only turn on the Wi-Fi. In doing that, what you get is your phone is only connected to the Wi-Fi coming out of this device. Your phone is not connected to the internet, so anything you type in now in your browser, such as in my phone, will only be towards this device. Otherwise it's going to the server somewhere else, and that causes all sorts of trouble. Of course in this case it seems like the modern phones was clever enough, but that's not always going to be the case. That's a phone and it didn't quite work as I expected, so maybe because it didn't quite work as I expect, you will remember that this is an interesting little issue on the video. Right, so I'm going to leave that. I'm going to go over to the laptop because that's really where it is all going to be demonstrated and what you need to do. So let me just record my screen. So I first need to make sure that I'm connected to ShareLink. Change the Wi-Fi to the ShareLink. So no, I don't want to connect to that. I want to connect to Cam Pro B4D 63B. The password is on the front on the label there. And this is all just from information on the front of the sticker. As I said before, I'm just going to say it again, ignore the QR code. We're not going to use that. Connected. Okay. Now on the screen here, I'm just going to take a screenshot because this is something you might want to see. It says no internet. Do not worry. At the moment there is no internet available because this device is not connected to the internet yet, because I haven't done anything to tell it to connect to my home network. It's just a device on my table sending out Wi-Fi from this thing, but it's just Wi-Fi. It has nothing to do other than saying, I'm a Wi-Fi router. Do you want to connect to me? This is it. So we change that and we say, okay, well that's fine. I'm happy with that because it says Cam Pro B4D63B, which is this unit. It says connected, but it says no internet. I'm okay with that. It doesn't matter. So now we go to a browser. The computer is connected to the Wi-Fi. You just enter the browser IP address and it comes up with the Cam Pro login page. That's correct, it's there. So that's all you need to do. Passcode. So let's try that passcode that is on the system. And it works. The passcode is the same for the Wi-Fi as it is for the login on the sticker. Now I learned that, now you see it as well. I mean, and now what you get is this whole list of possible Wi-Fi sources available all around me. So there are obviously, I'm in my neighborhood, so there's a lot of Wi-Fi available. I know I'm going to connect to my Wi-Fi, which is Carscope Aussie. It's the top one. It has a very strong signal. In fact, it is 100% because my directional antenna, which is this one, is simply the one that I can use. Now, just out of curiosity, I'm just going to face this in a different direction to show you. It might be weaker, but I'm not sure because, of course, it's a great antenna. We designed it ourselves, as I mentioned earlier. So it might still be good. No, it drops away. So as you can see, when I turn the antenna in a different direction, it did change because now I'm facing a different area for my signal itself. Just turning it back towards my house because I know this is where the Wi-Fi is coming from, and it should recover. There we go. You can see my Wi-Fi strength is 100% facing the house. This is it. This is the one I want to connect to, and it's the only one that I have a password that I know what it is. So I'm going to connect my ShareLink to that one. And it tells me now what's the passcode for that network. So now I'm at a point where I can tell the ShareLink, connect to that network, and this is how we're going to operate. So I'm just going to do that. Won't say what it is. I can't remember. Oh yeah, to save. So I just did my own. I'm basically just connecting another device to my home network. That's it. I'm done. The Wi-Fi is connected. It gets all sorts of stuff up and running. I should now be good. There we go. I did nothing. It just went through the whole sequence of getting connected. I am, with my laptop, connected to my ShareLink. My ShareLink is now connected to my home internet. And if I were to add another tab, I just go to google.com. I'm on the internet. That's it. Now, what I mentioned earlier, I just want to show you this, the speed of the internet, because now I'm from my home internet to this one is one hop, from this device to my computer is another hop. So if I now do speedtest.net, I should have, let's have a look what I have, speedtest.net. Now go. Okay, my download speed is 1011. Now the internet 1011 is more than enough for you to have a decent internet connection for emails, for web browsing, and even for getting some streaming TV services going. You're not going to get 4K or 8K through this internet because that's not what it's meant for. This is really for you to help get some decent internet, HD, TV, streaming, that kind of surface on a remote location. But as you can see, download 13.10, upload 17.35. That's through the ShareLink. It's not a limitation, as I said before, in this specific design, and the solution of this product is to have Wi-Fi where I otherwise may not have any Wi-Fi at all. Now, if I were to say, fine, that's it, that's okay, it's not bad actually, but what's my home internet? It will be much faster. Directly. So now I am bypassing this device because where I am physically shooting this video, I can get both. I can just repeat the same test again. Okay, so I just lost battery on my phone, so I'm just doing a third shot of the actual thing. So what I've done is I connected my laptop, instead of going through the ShareLink, the same internet connection with the same original source, which is Carscope Aussie, to the laptop directly. You can see the download speed. If I were to connect directly to it on the same internet connection, the 2.4 gig one, I get 42 down and 33 up. So the speed is slower because it's a double hop connection, which is what you get with bridging your solution, but you can get much further because of the high gain antenna that you have there. So that's really the ShareLink Ultra version 2 in a nutshell. I think the video was a bit longer than I initially anticipated, but we are putting the timestamps at the bottom, so you'll see each of the topics as we go through them. Thanks for watching. I think we'll be doing many more videos in the coming summer, which is now starting again, but for now, thanks for watching and see you on the next video in the next number of weeks. Thanks. Bye-bye.